Hello everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by to watch my video. This is Dadcraft85, and this is my first time trying something a little different. Tonight, it's 2 days after the election here in the United States. I'm just going to say I was disappointed with the result and leave it at that, and I've been thinking a lot over the past few days about why the election turned out the way it did. And I just, kind of wanted to have just a ramble. I don't know if folks will find it interesting or relaxing or what it might be, but just something I wanted to get out and put out there. And I just wanted to play something that was kind of a relaxing game for me while I did it. So I went with Bloons Tower Defense 6, which is great. And actually, if you go over to my Twitter, you'll find that Bloons Tower Defense 6 has actually played a role in processing the election results for me over the past few days. So yeah, I'm going to play a little bit, and I'm just going to chat about the election results in the context of free will versus determinism, and how I kind of feel like maybe determinism and the fact that we kind of lack true free will is kind of a way to explain maybe why the election turned out the way it did a little bit, and why folks really seem to like the guy who got elected, which has been something I've been struggling to understand, to be totally honest, because it just seems antithetical to what we are all raised to be like. He's kind of mean. He's a mean guy. He's not kind to people. He's rude and confrontational and does mean things and acts like a bully. And it was disheartening for me to really think about so many people voting for him. It's just a hard thought. So something I like to think about. I like to kind of casually think about philosophical stuff and read stuff on Reddit and things like that. I'm no super intelligent person reading journals or anything like that, but I like to engage with some content that at least makes you think. And one of the things I really like is the whole idea of free will and determinism, right? So let me start off just with my definition of those two terms for the purposes of this conversation, which your mileage may vary and you may think of these things in a different way, but just from what I'm talking about, this is kind of my understanding of the difference between free will and determinism. Would be that so free will is the idea that we have full agency to act in our environment and make choices and decide what we do, and that sort of thing. Free will is kind of what it sounds like. It's a concept that we're all pretty familiar with, I think, to some degree. And determinism is the idea that there are outside influences that affects our choices, and we don't actually really make the choices ourselves. And the choices are kind of the result of either an outside influence, if you believe in determinism from a god or something like that there's a god who's really made your plan for you, like a fate, that sort of idea that there's a god who's decided your fate. But really the kind of determinism that I find more compelling, at least I don't really know what I truly believe, but I find the idea that determinism is that all our choices are kind of the result of our environment, right? And the things that we've been exposed to in our life. And our traumas, and it's the result of our traumas and our successes and the things that have gone well for us. And there's a biological component that people just have different personalities when they're born, and so the non-religious way of thinking of determinism, at least the way I think of it, is your environment kind of determines all your choices for you, and like your life is like a cascading series of choices, or I shouldn't say choices, a cascading series of events that are just taking place around you, and you as the person can't really change that. They're unchangeable factors, things that happen to you. So like the way I'm thinking about this in the context of the election is like, the folks who like the guy who got elected, they are the product of their environment, and they are the result of all the things that have happened to them. And like clearly, like from what I can tell by like, what I think they kind of show by voting for him and, endorsing the way he acts and his behaviors, that like they view someone like him as powerful, and like they've been shown throughout their life that he's powerful, and like that power is just good, and like being powerful is like an end goal in life, and that they are just like traveling down this path, and it's kind of unavoidable, which is in a way comforting to me, but also kind of maybe kind of scary too, right? Because it kind of makes it feel like if it's unavoidable, like that means like, what do? We can't change it, right? But I think like, I don't know. It at least allows me to feel like more empathy for folks who voted for the guy who won, which I was struggling with. I can't lie, which I was struggling with at first, because it just feels like he has shown us so many times what he is, and it is just, for me, unfathomable to vote for him. But I, through this kind of lens of looking at it and looking at these decisions as like deterministic and the result of the consequences of their environment, I'm able to be a lot more empathetic towards them. I've said on my streams that I'm a nurse. That's my profession. Nobody goes to work in healthcare because they don't like people. I like people. I consider myself a people person. It's also why I started making content and streaming and stuff like that. I like, seeking connections with different people and helping people and being there for people, being reliable. So it's really hard for me to understand like why someone why they like someone who is just not kind and not reliable and not someone that you would like count on for things, and like how this guy is so popular, so popular. It's just hard. It's hard to understand, and I've been engaging maybe too much with social media, which I'm sure, we all do when these things happen. It all the time nowadays in life. We all go on social media too much, but it's been a real struggle, man. It's just been hard to fathom, and I just wanted to kind of put something out there. All my content leading up to this has been nothing political or anything like that, and I'm not trying to even necessarily be political. I'm intentionally not saying the name of the individual who won or any political names or anything like that. And I'm, certainly I hope it comes across that I'm trying to be, as kind and empathetic towards everybody. And like, I hope like people who voted for the other person, not the guy who won, understand like from my tone and and what I'm saying, that I share their fears and their concerns and their anxiety about what might be coming in the next 4 years. But I want really to try and understand people. I want to be able to connect with people. It's something that I've really made a goal of trying better at. And that's part of also why I started trying better at. That doesn't sound great. That I wanted to try to do more effectively, and really just more actively like seeking community and seeking just all sorts of like interactions with different types of people. And putting myself out there online is, I think, a good way to do that. My job is certainly one way that I do that, but I've been doing for quite some time. So I like people. I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to feel a whole bunch of bad feelings and all this. And if you go look at my Twitter, it's hard not to buy into some of those feelings, and it can be cathartic. I'm not trying to dismiss the value of getting a little fired up at times. It just hopefully it just doesn't manifest as being cruel to other people. I think there are ways you can blow off steam. Exercise is great. Exercise is great, guys. Lifting weights is a really good way to blow off some aggression. And like hitting a heavy bag, and just look up a few boxing videos on YouTube and learn a few just how to walk around the bag and hit it effectively. And it's a good way to blow off some of that steam that can kind of manifest as angry rants on social media, at least for me sometimes. But it's hard. It's so hard not to buy into like the rage machine that is the internet. And I as much as I try not to, I'm guilty of doing it in my past and probably more recently too. But I just, it's just tough. It's tough to understand. It's tough to understand, guys. So, I have struggled with mental health stuff and that sort of thing in my life, and more recently, really within the past year, I've started to really face it and process my trauma and understand myself better, which has led me to kind of want to understand other people better. And it was helpful for me to kind of look at this whole free will and determinism thing and kind of understand that if free will is not exactly entirely correct and determinism is not entirely correct, maybe some component of determinism is correct, and that like my environment and my situation that I faced in my past led me to make some of the poor decisions that I made. And it really was helpful for me to be able to learn to kind of let go of some of my self-loathing and like those really negative self-talk and stuff that so many of us struggle with. So I just thought I would come on here and share this with you guys, because it was helpful to me. It was helpful to me when I was really, really lost and struggling. I'm doing a lot better now. I've been in therapy for I think about 6 months now, and it's been great. It's been incredible. Can't recommend it enough for anybody who's ever had an inkling to go, and try it out or anything like that. It's been life-changing, honestly, and my name on the internet is Dadcraft85. I have children, so it's so important when we have, people in our life who are depending on us and people who we are responsible for and have an obligation to struggle with these things, within ourselves. So I owed it to my kids. I owed it to my family to go and do this, to go and try to help myself. I think it's Marcus Parks, maybe, from Last Podcast on the Left. Shout out Last Podcast on the Left. I like that podcast. Who says that, mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility, right? And I'm trying to live by that a little bit more. And this self-loathing stuff is really hard to let go of. And when you're able to view it through that lens of determinism and really pinpoint the things that, like, maybe even in your past that you thought were things that you had processed, maybe like, a separation of something in the family or, a loss or something like that. These things that we kind of convince ourselves that we have processed so that we can cope. If you've had these things happen, it's really important to try and seek help to process these things, because they linger, and they will affect you your whole life. It did for me. It affected me my whole life. And I am, the 85 in my name is my birth year. I was born in 1985, so I'm 39 years old. I'm going to be 40 soon, and it's just, I owe it to myself and to my family to get better, and to understand people, and to understand how I can help people and help the world in the best way. I like the idea of being a vessel for service. That's why I got into healthcare. I like helping. I like doing good and being kind and laughing and bringing joy to people, and lifting them up when they're feeling down, as corny as that sounds. That's why I like doing the streaming and stuff and being silly and goofy and all that sort of thing. So I just wanted to come on and say, just say that, we should all kind of try to understand each other as much as possible. I know that's kind of a really trite thing to say right now, and it's really a hard, impossible pill to swallow for people from disadvantaged communities and minority communities, and I fully understand and admit that I am a white cis male saying this, but I am someone who's struggled in my past and had trauma in my past, and I from that, at least to some degree, a little bit maybe, understand that sort of that feeling, that trauma response, that feeling of wanting to lash out to protect yourself, like coping in any way possible, doing anything necessary to protect yourself and the ones you love. I totally understand that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't do those things. If you need to cut someone off in your life, if there's people who are antagonizing you, as things go on, it's going to become more and more important that we all protect each other, like in a very real way. Those of us who did not vote for the guy who won, but I hope things don't go that way. I hope we can just understand each other more. I hope, like, on both sides we can take a step back, right? Take a step back and understand that we're so much more similar than we are different. All of us. The most important thing we all are is human beings. I really believe that, and I know that's another kind of corny, trite thing to say, and I know there's so many issues that affect, different groups that I'm not trying to minimize or anything, but I just so badly want for there to be a peaceful, kind world for my kids to grow up in, and for your kids to grow up in, and for every kid to grow up in, and for everyone to just live in. I just want to have fun, like, and just chill and, just have a good time with everyone. Like, we can all, just want to feel hopeful when things seem so hopeless, But for these last 3 rounds, let's focus on how I kind of crushed it at this round of balloons. Happy about that. This is a good game. I don't know if my strategy was any good here. I'm pretty bad at this, honestly. I'm going to start playing it on my live streams. And I'm sure people will give me good advice. I know I have one viewer at least who plays balloons because I played it once and they came and watched me. Shout out to Nacho Cheese Enjoyer. But yeah, it seems like I'm about to finish up this round. I'll probably end the video here. Just to end on, I hope everyone is doing what they need to do to be okay. I hope those who did vote for the guy who won are, being kind in their victory and not gloating too much to people who might be really scared right now. And I hope everyone has a great day, a great night, or a great whatever it might be when you're watching this. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you did, this is Dadcraft85. I stream on Monday and Wednesday, usually. I didn't stream this week because we have some work going on in our kitchen, and I couldn't make it down to where I normally stream. But I normally do. I do crossword puzzles and different casual games and stuff like that. So feel free to come by and see me. I'm on all the social media stuff, Twitter and Facebook and all those things, even TikTok, even though I'm an old man. Yeah, again, thank you so much for coming by and watching. And if you watch this whole thing, I really appreciate it. If you want to like and subscribe on YouTube, that would be great. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope everyone's doing okay out there.